Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a new episode of The World Today, where we are going to discuss, as usual, plenty of headlines published on national and international websites, and we are going to focus on our local and regional arenas. But before we start, let me first welcome our dear guest live here in the studio, Dr. Ahmed Refky, our political analyst of this episode. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you so much.
And we are going to start immediately. Our first headlines are coming from Al-Ahram Online, where we read, from Al-Ahram Online, we read, Egypt receives first batch of armored vehicles from the United States of America. The mine-resistant ambush-protected MRAP vehicles are meant to aid in the fight against terrorism, according to U.S. Embassy statement. Egypt's security forces, the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, announced today's delivery is the first batch of a total of 762 MRAP vehicles that the United States will transfer to Egypt. Well, when it comes to such shipments, it's only a symbol of how developed are the relations between Egypt and America, how the ties can be considered as strategic, and how no one now can doubt the, as I said, strategic or deeply rooted ties between Egypt and the United States, despite the differences in policies. How do you see this as a message to be sent to the international community?
Yes, regarding the international world, we can see that Egypt has threats in the west and the east and the south. So that the U.S. has supported Egypt regarding the MRAP. MRAP is very important vehicles. It was developed during the U.S. in the fighting terrorism in Afghanistan, and they sent the first batch. So they are supporting this, our service forces, our security forces, toward terrorism. We are fighting a lot of battles on the same time. So we are protecting our borders on the west, and at the same time we have on the east regarding the north of Sinai, and on the south as well there is some disturbance, and regarding as well inside our country there is a lot of problems, and terrorism is small, so it's very important. And yes, as a first batch, it's important from the 700.
I've asked this question in specific because it's not only those tangible things on the ground, but also we should tackle the news or the story on political and diplomatic levels.
Yeah.
Only yesterday, our foreign minister, our top diplomat, Sameh Shoukry, wrapped up his visit to the United States, where he chaired UN Security Council sessions, as Egypt is the chair country of the sessions of the UN Security Council this month for May 2016. And the most important issue which was discussed in those sessions is fighting terrorism, and how fighting terrorism is Egypt's strategy.
Yeah.
How do you see this mix?
Yeah, of course. Egypt has a lot of experience and regarding anti-terrorism or fighting terrorism, such in the 80s till now. So till now we have a country. We can see that terrorism has been in Libya and has been in Iraq and has been in Syria, and he's making the nationalism fighting the patriotism. So one of the things that we have in Egypt, we have an experience regarding the terrorism fighting for 20 years, and we understand very well the mentality and the social matrix of the extremists. So one of the things that we can lead as an anti-filing. That's why it's coming the role of Egypt into leading the committee of the anti-terrorism.
One of the sessions chaired by our top diplomat was to analyze the thinking of extremist ideologies, and to understand this, I think it's very important. I'm speaking with a scientist in sociology, so I think it should be put as a first priority. If you understand how they think, you know how to fight them.
Sure. Actually, one of the things that is very important into a fight, there is two parties. There is one party who's seeing that he's winning. Actually, there is a third party who's winning from both sides. Whatever is happening, it's winning. So it's very important to focus on the third party. So one of the things, if we are talking about the terrorism or the rebels, they have a belief, and they're making suicides toward a cause, whatever is the cause, but how they create or they're mentally manipulating them to believe and to go and bomb himself with other innocent people. Brainwashing. So it's very important to understand how they do this. And they know how to talk, and they know using our reference and all the references.
And to understand this is the way to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, and it's one of the very important currently. It's not fighting with the hard forces or the forces on the ground. Important to fight into the mentals of them.
Both of them, sir.
It's very
both
important.
Of them. And because of this, I've focused on both.
Yeah.
Whether the armored vehicles we are receiving to fight terrorists on the ground, and on the other hand, diplomatically or politically, we are also on the right track, if you permit me to say so.
Yes. Yeah,
taking you to Khalij Times, where we read Tunisia gets U.S. Planes, jeeps to guard Libyan borders. The United States gave jeeps, communications technology, and small aircraft to Tunisia to help protect the border with Libya, where Daesh has gained ground and set up training camps. In the first place, who has given the Daesh terrorist group the chance to take large swaths of Libya, of Syria, and then to fight? Till the moment, there are questions which the international community was not able and is not able to answer. First, who is training the Daesh mercenaries or militants? Second, who is buying the oil of Libya? Third, if I'm going to speak about the U.S. airstrikes and the U.S. allies, till the moment, after more than a year, they could not get rid of Daesh, and despite the fact that they said they are only from 20 to 30,000 militants, though big powers cannot do so. If you have an answer or have answers for these questions?
Yes, of course. So if you are talking who's benefit from this, it's the business. It's benefit from this. How to benefit the business, how it's moved. It's moved into two ways. Either to have hopes, so the people go and buy things, or to have fears, so the people or the regime buy some issues to protect. So it's very important. The business is running all this. So if we are talking about Daesh, Daesh is the name of the Arab. We call it Daesh, but actually its name in the English community or the media, it's ISIS.
Yeah.
And it's very important to understand ISIS because in the media they're telling it's the Islamic State in Syria and in Iraq. Actually, it's not that. The intelligence name of ISIS is Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. So it's very important to understand that. And they're protecting their influence and their territory. So if we are talking, for example, in Iraq and in Syria, if we are returning back from the history, we understand very well it's the land of Canaan. Canaan is and it's very important for the background. So it's very important to have their influence there. And they work very well into the extremist and to build a lot of bad information and this wrong information into their head, so they become extremist into the nationalism.
Yeah.
It's and they take the nationalism and they start to fight the patriotism. So they make a terrorism inside the same country. If returning back to Libya. In our West, it has a lot of parties inside. We have each party has protecting its.
Libya is an important story here, and this is the core of this article. Libya and Tunisia. Libya is not only a threat to the Libyans inside Libya, but it's a threat to Tunisia, to Egypt, to Chad. I mean, all the borders or the surrounding countries are threatened with Daesh militants in Libya.
Yeah.
Don't you think that supporting the legitimate internationally recognized government and army, and in addition to drawing the resources of terrorism there, is going to be better than giving Tunisia planes or jeeps or stuff like that? Why we do not draw the resources of terrorism first and support Khalifa bin Qasim Haftar, the one who is heading Libya's I'm not going to say army, till the moment it's not army, or it's not that much supported by the international community, and Faiz and his government. Why the international community do not fight beside those two legitimate powers?
Okay, it's very important. One of the things in Libya has a very big resources of oil, and oil prices is very important. So if there is a disturbance in the country, the oil prices are decreasing. Who can imagine that a barrel of Pepsi is much higher than a barrel of oil? So you can imagine Pepsi or
Okay.
the thing is it's $142 for barrel for gas waters, and for the oil it's only $40.
Yeah.
So it's very important how to decrease the oil. So when you have a disturbance regarding the oil places, so the prices of the oil decrease, and so this is very important for the business. So and regarding if you are talking about the rebels, we give them some cheap weapons, and they start to make some disturbance, and the people get afraid, and they start to ask the regime to buy new weapons to protect them, and that's why how it's working. Regarding Libya, there is a lot of parties, international parties and inside parties.
Yeah.
If you are talking about the international parties, you have, for example, Turkey is just trying to protect their own business inside Libya from oils, places and everything. And if you are talking about a lot of communities that are working regarding this, and also Libya is important for Tunisia. Tunisia is one of the countries having a tourism. So the last year has bombed one of the beaches hotels. Yes, it's beside Libya, and make Tunisia get afraid. So start to build up their army again, and to purchase vehicles and planes. They purchase 48 vehicles and almost
Planes,
12 planes,
jeeps,
jeeps. Yes.
yeah.
So they are trying to make, and the deal is around 20 million US dollars. So one of the things, if we are thinking about, yes, I give rebels, I give them 1 million, for example, weapons, but the other country, it's by 20 million US dollars. So this is how the business is running.
And there's more business in Syria.
Yeah.
From the Gulf today, we read about Syria this time. Fighting renews as Syria truce ends, unfortunately. The truce in Syria's battleground city of Aleppo or Halab expired on Thursday, with no new last-minute extension, as a besieged town near the capital prepared to receive its first humanitarian aid in 4 years. This was a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, Daraya, the Syrian town, which was hoping that they are going to receive aid, the Red Cross convoy was denied from entering Daraya, which is eager to receive any kind of humanitarian aid since the year 2012. Syria is another story. And if you said about Libya that there are many sides, whether internationally or nationally, the tribal issue and the sectarian violence and this blah blah blah, which I really cannot understand that much, because when it comes to the best interests of a country, all the nationals should unite. Same case, in a way, in Syria. First, the normal question: do you think that with the disappearance of Bashar al-Assad, Syria's crisis is going to have an end? Yes or no?
No question, because we see it in Iraq and we see it in Libya. So the answer is there. So we can understand that. But let me tell you regarding Syria. Syria, we have two main parties. They succeed to make the Syrians.
Which parties do you mean, sir?
It's we can say it on the big picture. We can say patriotism, who is loving the land, and we have nationalism, who loving the people of the land. So if we are talking about the patriotism, we have Bashar and the government, and we have on the same side anti-government with are the rebels. So this is a party, it's named patriotism. So they are fighting together, but they are patriotism. And there is the other extremist of nationalism. It's coming from the Muslim Brotherhood, from ISIS, Al-Qaeda.
So those are extreme nationalists, all affiliated to Al-Qaeda.
Yes, they don't care about the land, but they care about
How I can differentiate on the ground between the so-called armed opposition, because they are opposition, but I don't know why they are armed, why they don't resort to peace and peaceful solutions, negotiations, and the other hand, the Daesh or those groups affiliated to Al-Qaeda and stuff like that. How I can differentiate on the ground?
Yes, you can't, because if you are playing chess, for example, you have whites and blacks, but on the grounds you have all the same colors. So you don't know, you know that those are taking this area and those starting this. Maybe you are shooting this area thinking that they are rappers, for example. So
after 5 years, they have not learned the lesson till the moment that if they don't unite together, Daesh and terrorists are going to once again have large swaths of Syria and more lives are going to be lost?
yes, the problem is that each one has a belief.
Okay.
So this is the
Would
problem.
you please elaborate, sir?
The belief it's they believe they are doing the holy war holy war. So if they're winning, so they are making, for example, the Islamic State of Iraq.
So-called caliphate.
Yes. So this is one of the things, caliphs. So this is the belief, the problem of the belief, and the same with the regime. And so the first, if we want to solve this, we need to put an umbrella of beliefs that can take all the different beliefs into one umbrella to love the land and to love the people of the land.
But they do not want even to sit together. I mean, the failure of the Geneva talks is because of this.
Yeah.
Being stubborn enough and putting into consideration that I am only the right side and the others should just give up their arms and be under my control.
Yeah.
Who should decide? Is it the international community, the external forces, or the Syrians themselves?
The Syrians themselves, because the problem that when there is a blood between two parties, it's very hard to sit together again on the table. So it's very important bridges, a common bridge between two parties towards their common objectives, because I'm sure that there is a common objective regarding all the three parties. We can sit together and put the agenda that combine all the objectives.
Is it possible?
It is possible, of course, but to correct the beliefs first.
From Syria to neighboring Iraq, from the Daily Star, we read, Daesh kills 17 Iraqi soldiers with suicide trucks near Ramadi. Daesh insurgents killed at least 17 Iraqi soldiers with suicide truck bombs on Thursday in a major attack on government forces that recaptured the western city of Ramadi in December. The military group also killed 2 policemen, 8 others in 2 suicide bombings in Abu Ghraib outside Baghdad a day after the killing of at least 90 people in bombings at an outdoor market and 2 checkpoints inside the Iraqi capital. Iraq also, I'm not going to say a different story, but with all the demonstrations which took place recently, I mean, starting a month ago, and it continued with the followers of Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, according to the corruption, according to the demands of a cabinet reshuffle, of storming or breaking into the parliament headquarters there, you know, many things happened. There is a voice which is saying that those protests or this division is going to be for the best interest of Daesh, because this is going to divide the Iraqis more. Others are said no, whenever you are fighting corruption, it's going to be a stronger Iraq which is going to be able to fight Daesh. In your opinion, which is which?
Okay. Actually, let's talk about Iraq. Iraq is very rich country regarding the resources, regarding the location.
At the moment, is rich?
Still, because they have the land and they still have the people who love the land. The problem is that to put the people who love the land to invest and start again building the country. So one of the problems they need to have like I told, a bigger umbrella that they can go together, to have a vision, to have a mission. So this is one of the things that they don't have a vision, what they want Iraq after 5 years ahead. They don't have a dream, what they wanted. And there is also, as I told you, that there is international players as well, so trying to decrease the resources of the oil. So it's from the business side, it's to keep the Iraqi getting fear and to keep them, so they sell oil with less prices. So this is one of the things that's it's important for them. I understand that Iraqi, they learned lessons since long term, and they understand very well now what's happening on the ground, because previously they were, and the rest of Iraqis telling that we wish that the old regime it was still there.
My question is, sir, is it right to protest now against corruption, or to be behind the current government, whatever it is, to fight Daesh? I mean, which is which? Fighting corruption should be a priority, or fighting Daesh should be the first priority?
Of course, fighting the enemy. The enemy is Daesh. So it's very important to have a solid background to start with, and then we start fighting. After we win over our enemy, we start to rebuild again our country, we start to fight the corruptions.
From the World Bulletin we continue, and this time it's about Yemen. Al-Qaeda triple suicide attack kills 13 Yemen troops. Al-Qaeda militants, including 3 suicide bombers who blew up vehicles, killed at least 13 Yemen government troops outside the southeastern port city of Muqalla on Thursday. These were the statements said by the Yemeni army. Yemen, if we were talking about the Geneva talks about Syria, they were Kuwait talks in Yemen. On the negotiating table, nice words are said, but on the ground, nothing is implemented. First, how do you see the Houthis? Do you see them as rebels or as militants? I mean, they are to sit on the negotiating table to negotiate, or they should just taken aside because they are not legitimate and they had not the right in the first place to seize Sana'a and to do whatever they are doing.
Mm-hmm. They should, whatever they're sitting on the negotiations table, they should representing the Yemenian people. So this is very important. It's not about groups. It's very important to when to set in to represent the Yemenian people. So it's important. One of the things that Yemenian for us in Egypt, it's very important because it's the gates towards Canal Suez, which is representing all the business going up and down.
It's a national security issue for all the Red Sea states.
Yeah, sure.
Egypt, of course, Saudi Arabia, all the Red Sea states. But I mean, the Yemenis themselves should consider the Houthis to be backed by Iran as militants, as rebels, or as just a sect of the Yemeni people?
I think that the answer it was in the question when you say it's backed by Iran. Mm-hmm. So what's the benefit of Iran? It's why where is supporting them?
This was a question.
Yeah, so this is
why should I accept a support from an external side or power and to take this into war into my country?
Yeah, sure. So that's why why is Iran investing in Yemen? Mm-hmm. It's because of Arabia Saudi. So it's very important to read all the scenes to better understand. So I think that it's very important that when we are talking in negotiation and we want some people representing the Yemen people, they should be local. They should to sit together. Mm-hmm. We don't need a third party as coming from our international player coming to play in our ground. So I think that they should be focusing on the Yemeni agenda, not the Iranian agenda.
If they are going to focus on the Yemeni agenda, then they should, step aside when it comes to external forces. And there is another road which I really cannot understand. Abdullah Saleh, mm-hmm. former Yemeni president, why he is doing so? I mean, is it greed for power once again? Do you think that he imagined that he can be once again the president of Yemen, or what?
We cannot understand very well the scene there, but I think that he stepped away from the authority. So the question why he wants to return back, I think that they believe, or they make him believe, he and his supporters, that Yemen is going to be cutting off a lot of problems there. So they convince them divided. So that's why they ask him to return back to gather again all the Yemeni. I think that, but we cannot understand how it's running there unless we...
I cannot understand why the peoples, whether in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, or in Libya, till the moment they did not learn the lesson that it's not about who is on top. It's about those who are trying to
reach the power,
not only to divide people and to work for their best interest, not for the country's best interest.
Sure.
I mean, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Yemen, they are not better after Saddam or Bashar or Ali Abdullah Saleh or Muammar Gaddafi, respectively. They are not better.
Yeah.
Finally, it's the New York Times speaking about Russia calling a new U.S. missile defense system a direct threat. As American allied officials celebrated the opening of the long-awaited missile defense system in Europe with ribbon cutting and banned the reaction in Russia on Thursday suggested that the system had raised the risks of a nuclear war. With the current situation and with the differences, I'm not going to reach the word disputes, between Russia and America, their influence in Russia, in Syria, I'm sorry, in Iraq, or on the political ground, Cold War's back, or it never stopped?
I think yes, it's already running. Not on military on the ground. It's running on the media and it's running on the TVs and that's it. So let's understand regarding the military or the missiles. Of course, one of the things that each pools, it's the Russian pools and the US pools, is trying to invest and reinvest again in their military and the missiles and everything. So when it's come, it's always Russia, it's threatening US and US threatening vice versa. So when it's come to the US, then they make a deal with Romania and they put their missiles there. So it was very close to the borders of the Russian. So it's a very threat. So that give a point or give a
in a way provocative.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Ahmed Salah Refky, thank you very much for your input, sir, and we are going to leave you with the promise to see you again on the international screen.
Thank you so much.
Well, by this we come to the end of this episode of The World Today. On behalf of Magdi Sliman, Yasser Abdel Massoud, Friyal Muhammad Abdullah, Ayat Ali Taha, Ilham Wahi, and myself, Nermeen Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching. Have a very good afternoon.